after knowing and falling in love with my boyfriend for 3 years. When we were about to step into marriage, I found that my future in-law's prepared wedding house was still occupied by my sister-in-law's family. My sister-in-law lives in the master bedroom. My parents-in-law live in the secondary bedroom. And my sister-in-law's twin sons live in the children's room. My sister-in-law pointed to the smallest guest bedroom in the corner with a smile. Baby, this is the wedding house prepared by Mom and Dad for you. Without saying a word, I finished eating the 3 dishes and 1 soup with my parents-in-law and sister-in-law's family with a smile. As soon as I got home, I sent a text message to my boyfriend to break up. In the 4th year with Eric, he took me home to meet his parents. My parents-in-law are kind and amiable, and my sister-in-law is graceful. I had a very good first impression of Eric's family. Eric boasted without hesitation. Of course. Look whose wife it is. My wife has such good taste. So the meeting time of the 2 families was set and the plans for discussing marriage-related matters were made. One day, Eric came excitedly. Wife, look what this is. He opened his hand. And it was clearly a key. The wedding house prepared by Mom and Dad for us. My sister has been supervising the decoration. My sister said the other day that it's almost done. Do you want to take a look? We found a weekend and excitedly ran to the new house. As soon as we opened the door, we found that my parents-in-law and sister-in-law's family were all there. When my mother-in-law saw me, she was still enthusiastic and kept talking to me. Dear, you should have told us in advance when you come. It must be that this naughty boy Eric is not sensible, and brought you here so hastily. There is nothing complete in the new house. I started to feel a bit confused. Isn't this the wedding house prepared for us? The whole family is here? I secretly glanced at Eric, who didn't know what was going on. He was playing with his twin nephews. So I had to force a smile. It's okay, Auntie. After a while, Mariana ran over affectionately. Baby, let me show you around the new home. This house decoration took me a full year of energy. Father's son also agreed. Let Mariana show you around. I was dragged around by Mariana. As soon as she opened her mouth, I was shocked. This master bedroom facing the sun is for me and Fabian. Me and Fabian like the sun. This secondary bedroom with a bathroom is for Mom and Dad. They are old and it's inconvenient to get up at night. This room is just right. And this children's room. They are 8 years old and still like Ultraman. Let's see if your little aunt is shy. I looked up and sure enough, it was an Ultraman-themed room. Everywhere I looked, there were Ultraman figures. I forced a smile. By the way, this is the wedding room for Baby and Eric. I haven't added furniture yet. You and Derek can discuss and add it later. I still smiled. I glanced at Eric. Eric. He quickly ran over. What's up, wife? Nothing. My sister is introducing the wedding room to me. Where do you think it's more convenient to put your computer? Wife has decided. I'll listen to my wife completely. Very good. My face was about to freeze from smiling. I smiled and said, I see that after putting a 1.8-meter bed in this room, it's difficult to even walk. The silly Eric also chuckled. Then put it in another room. Wife. It seems he still doesn't know. I was about to speak when mother-son suddenly shouted. Come and eat. There was a plate of scrambled eggs with tomatoes, a plate of green vegetables, a plate of small pickles, and an egg drop soup on the table. 7 people. 4 dishes. What kind of good person eats like this? Eric spoke quickly. Mom. This is definitely not enough to eat. Mariana immediately slapped her younger brother. Oh my God. What delicacies do you want to eat? Dear. It's really hasty. Auntie didn't prepare well. Our dear should be more understanding. I smiled faintly. I wanted to see how many more tricks this family would play. Eric was still muttering. What's the matter? There is a supermarket downstairs. Why do you have to do it yourself? So strange. During the meal, Eric suddenly asked. The parents of Giselle's family will come over next week. Has the table at Chunmingdar been reserved? I saw father's son, mother's son, and Mariana exchange glances subtly. Then mother's son said, the tables at Chunming Tower are not easy to reserve recently. Then asked Dad to ask Uncle Han. It's not good to always trouble Uncle Han. Mariana replied. What does sister think? I looked up and stared at her. I went to see the dishes in the community at the gate with Mom and Dad a few days ago. They are not bad. I tried hard to recall. I couldn't think of any restaurants at the gate. Eric also said. Where is there at the gate? Father's son spoke slowly. It's that son's food stall. Isn't it quite good? Very good. The whole family is the same. Usually, we all go to Chunming Tower for gatherings. Now, when meeting the in-laws, the table can't be reserved. It's very funny. How can this work? Eric said. Why not? After eating, you can also visit your wedding house. Mother's son said. I held back the urge to flip the table and silently recited in my heart. It's easy to be at a disadvantage when 1 against 3. Amelia, smiled. I'm full. I have something to do in the afternoon. I'll take my leave first. Eric came and knocked on the door for half an hour in the evening. What's up? Giselle. I came specially to explain so that you don't misunderstand. Let's hear it. Otherwise. Can I come in first? You can say it or not. Giselle. Don't be angry. My parents and sister all said that when uncle and aunt come over, they will definitely reserve a table at Chunming Tower. Dad has already called Uncle Han to reserve it in the afternoon. Isn't reserving a table quite simple? Mom also said that this time the hospitality is not good. After you marry in, she will definitely serve you delicious food and drinks. I sneered. Marry into what? Giselle. Don't be making trouble. Do you know that after we get married, Mom and Dad, sister, brother-in-law, and 2 lively nephews will live with us? It seems that sister didn't explain clearly to you. You'd better go home and figure it out before coming to me. Otherwise, I will never marry into a family where there is only 1 guest room in the wedding house. Giselle, don't be in a hurry. Wait for me. I'll go home and ask clearly right away. An hour later, I received WeChat messages from father's son, mother's son, and Mariana respectively. Father's son, be conscientious. You have no money to prepare a wedding house. Instead of being grateful when others prepare it, you start picking and choosing. Don't think that if you instigate Eric to make trouble with us, you will get what you want. Mother's son, dear. Isn't Auntie good to you? How can you break Auntie's heart like this? Mariana, what did you say to Eric? I'll tell you clearly. This is the wedding house that Dad paid for and I put in effort to decorate for Eric. It has nothing to do with you or your poor family. After reading every word carefully, I decisively blocked them. Crazy people. After a while, someone knocked on the door. It was Eric. Giselle. Can you let me in? I saw his sad face through the peephole. Curiosity made me let him in. After all, it's a waste not to eat one's own melon. What's wrong with the injury on your face? My brother-in-law. No. Ouch. That bastard Fabian hit me. I saw his embarrassed look and held back my laughter. What happened? I quarreled with the whole family to vent your anger. It's not for me. It's for yourself. That's also your right. Well, for myself. Giselle. Are you not angry anymore? Not angry. That's good. I don't get angry for people who have nothing to do with me. Giselle. I ask you. Do you think what your parents and your sister did is right? Eric didn't speak. Do you think they will compromise? You have to trust me. Giselle. Just now, your whole family sent me WeChat messages scolding me. I showed Derek the chat screenshots. As soon as Eric finished reading, he immediately stood up. I'll go find them. I stopped him. Eric. Do you trust me? I trust you. Giselle. I took out a small recording camera from my bag. You go back to the wedding house and put it in an inconspicuous place. I don't need you to quarrel with them. On the contrary, you need to see clearly what you will face if you want to marry me. Since you have to make a choice, you always have to see everyone clearly. I want Eric to see the true faces of the Sun family behind their backs. The next day, when no one was around, Eric went home and put the camera in place. He packed his luggage. As agreed, he left a note on the table. You can't treat Giselle like this. She has never said a bad word about you. I hope you apologize to Giselle. These days, I'll move out first and we can all calm down. Then, Eric and I stayed in front of the computer, waiting to see the reaction of the Sun family. Mariana came back first. As soon as she entered, she lay on the sofa and played with her phone. It seems that she didn't notice any changes at home. Father-son and mother-son picked up the two grandsons and came back together. Mother's son, who was drinking water, saw the note first. Oh, Eric has gone to find that bitch. Oh, it turns out that I have my own special title in the Sun family. After father's son read the note, he was furious. He forcefully crumpled the paper into a ball and threw it away. If you have the guts to leave, don't come back. Mariana picked it up and read it. Eric actually wants us to apologize. It must be instigated by that bitch. Kuai Tui and Leo ran around and suddenly bumped into father's son. They started crying. Father's son was impatient. Cry. 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 Kuai and Leo were startled and cried even harder. Mariana quickly laid the two children to the side. Go and play. Grandpa is worried about Uncle. The two children cried even louder. We want Uncle too. We want Uncle too. Mariana glanced at them and rolled her eyes. She took out her phone and pointed it at the two children. She started filming. I'll send it to Uncle. Cry louder. In less than 2 minutes, Eric's phone rang. Brother, come home. Kuai and Leo came home and didn't see their dear uncle. They are crying so sadly. I saw Eric's eyebrows furrow. Mother's son suddenly spoke. I just sent a WeChat message to that bitch. That bitch blocked me. I originally thought she just coveted my family's house. Now it seems that she is really deep-minded. Mariana replied. Mom, when she came that day, no matter what we said or did, she just smiled and didn't respond. I told you long ago that she is definitely not a good person. If it were another girl, she would have made a scene long ago. Mother's son started swearing and cursing me with vulgar language. She wailed. Our Eric is simple. He must not be able to handle this scheming woman. Eric's face became livid little by little. In his perception, his father is strict. His mother is kind. And his sister is gentle. His father always taught him to be an upright person. His mother has never said a harsh word. When he brought his girlfriend home, his father always told him to be responsible and love. His mother and sister called his girlfriend dear and baby, one after another. But behind their backs, they are so unbearable. Do you still want to watch? Eric squeezed out a word. Watch. On the screen, father's son was gnashing his teeth and cursing me. Now that Eric has run away from home, the plan to have a meal at Chunming Tower with Amelia's family next week and introduce. So this is the reason why father's son often tells Eric to be responsible. It's just that they look down on me and are afraid that if I get pregnant, it will cause trouble. Mother's son spoke amiably. It doesn't matter. Having a child would be even better for us to control. When she and Derek divorce, we will raise the grandson. This family is really terrifying. Mariana said viciously. Dad, you'd better remind him frequently not to let that bitch get pregnant. The child raised by a bitch is also an ungrateful white-eyed wolf. Don't let it bite us back in the end. Mom, send a message to Eric and tell him to bring the bitch back. Next week her parents will come to discuss the wedding. Don't be stubborn and mess up the important matter. Everything can be negotiated. Still, Dad is more sensible. I was so angry that I was shaking all over. People can be so bad. Giselle. I'm sorry. I won't let my parents come. I know. When I have a chance, I'll apologize to uncle and aunt, Eric said apologetically. But I will go to the scheduled family gathering next week. Since the stage has been set up, how can the main character not appear? Not fighting back when being bullied is not my style. Wang Qi. There was a long silence. When Eric spoke again, he said, I'll accompany you. It's not that I'll also go. It's that I'll accompany you. I took father's son, mother's son, and Mariana out of the blacklist. I sent a WeChat message to Mariana. Sister, I'm sorry. I accidentally added you to the blacklist. It's okay. Baby. Has the time and place of the family gathering next week changed? Sister? As usual. Dear. Okay. Thank you. Sister. For your concern. Who can't pretend? Being warm and generous but doing bad things. I can learn it quickly. I want this family of yours to see what a real bitch is. On the 8th day, Eric and I waited for an hour at Son's food stall. Father's son, mother's son, and Mariana's family finally arrived late. Sorry, baby. There was a traffic jam. Mariana said with a smile. It's okay. Sister. It's only 500 meters from the door of our house to the gate of the community. This section of the road is really congested. Mother's son awkwardly changed the topic. Where are your parents? They are also stuck in traffic on the way. Father's son and mother's son's faces became very ugly. I was joking. They have something to do and can't come. They are more reasonable. They said that marriage is originally a matter for the two of us children. They only provide money and effort. They don't pick on other things. Father's son and mother's son's faces became even darker. Eric sat stiffly beside me without saying a word. Father's son started scolding him. Ungrateful son. You haven't contacted your family for so many days. I'll easily poured a cup of tea, and didn't intend to answer. Mother's son had to speak. Why scold the child? Don't you know our child? He is basically a good child. Oh. This is blaming me for leading astray her good son. I agreed. A white phoenix can't come from a black chicken nest. Brother-in-law Fabian slapped the table. What do you mean? It means exactly what it says. Brother-in-law. You are such a big person living in your father-in-law's house. Your children are also taken care of by your father-in-law and mother-in-law. You even live in your brother-in-law's wedding house. TSK. You can't be this white phoenix. At most. You are just a worm. A parasite. Fabian was so angry that he wanted to comment at me. Eric broke a beer bottle, and held it as a weapon to protect me. What are you doing? What are you talking nonsense? Mariana screamed. Why? Didn't I mention you? Do you think that just because you were born in a chicken family, you are a chicken? I've never heard of someone who has to interfere in everything about her mother's family. You are a troublemaker. Finding a parasite is also a perfect match. With so much energy. Go back to your husband's family, and be filial to your parents-in-law. Don't always stare at our affairs. Look at how busy you are jumping up and down. It's really embarrassing. You. Mariana was so angry that she wanted to grab me. Unfortunately, Eric stood firmly in front of me protecting me. I watched her go crazy quietly. You can't catch me. Mother's son spoke. Are you crazy? I glanced at her with a look. She was startled. It's your turn. Oh, the craziest one here is you. You are also a bit too confused. You burn incense and worship Buddha every day. You keep saying, Buddha bless. You are sweet-tongued but have a venomous heart. Don't worry. The Buddha won't bless those who are not sincere. What you ask for when burning incense and worshipping Buddha won't come true. I will be with your son Amelia forever in my loving life until we are old. Mother's son was so angry that she leaned back straight. Mariana quickly went to help her. Shut up. Father's son cursed loudly and kept spouting vulgar language. I slammed a cup hard. Can't people talk anymore? Father's son. You shameless bitch. I threw another cup. Oh. You still have the nerve to speak. The most shameless one here is you. Uncle. I've never heard of a father pimping for his son. How crooked are you? I've heard that an old person with an unclear mind can destroy a family. A good family is ruined in your hands. Do you think your ancestors will scold you when you go to hell after you die? Father-son and mother-son were so angry that they held their chests and gasped for breath. Mariana's voice was sharp. Eric. Are you just going to watch this bitch ride on our heads and after Annika lie? Eric picked up the beer bottle on the table and suddenly hit it on his head. Everyone was stunned. I only found out when I grew up that you have been acting in a movie with me. Dad is. Mom is. Sister is too. Don't move. Your head is bleeding. Mother-son screamed. Either let me marry Giselle or I will never go home again. Everything can be discussed. Everything can be discussed. You go to the hospital and get bandaged first. You want Dad to agree. Father-son held his chest and gasped for breath in anger. I promise you. You go to the hospital first. Eric put down the beer bottle in his hand. I looked at him coldly. The whole family surrounded Eric and went out. Fabian turned around and raised his hand to slap me. I stepped forward and pointed at the camera in the corner. If you dare to touch me today, I will send you to prison tomorrow, Fabian said resentfully. You wait for me. My last bit of strength was drained. The boss came in awkwardly and asked. The dishes ordered before. Do you still want them? Yes. I said while wiping my hands. Call someone to clean up here. I ate 6 dishes and 1 soup by myself. I added 2 of my favorite dishes. Arguing was so tiring that I was hungry from arguing. When I left, I packed a portion of pork tripe and chicken. Boss. Put it on the Sun family's bill. Sun Dong Hai. He booked the table. 12 building. Unit 2. Room 1703. They live in the community behind. When I called my best friend Ting Ting at night, Ting Ting was so shocked. No. You really scolded them? Otherwise. Wait for them to shit on my head. TSK. You are really something. What about Eric? I don't know. No contact. Don't you go to the hospital to see him? Ting Ting asked. Don't worry. He won't die. Aren't you touched? He made such a big fuss with his parents for you. What about you? I turned over and asked her. Ting Ting thought for a while and said. He is really too extreme. Threatening others by hurting himself doesn't solve the problem fundamentally. Eric is too immature. Do you still want to be with him? I thought for a while. I don't know myself. I tossed and turned all night and couldn't sleep. Just as I fell asleep at dawn, I was awakened by a loud banging on the door. Just as I opened the door and was about to scold, I saw my parents. Mom and Dad. Why are you here? Are you okay? Mom and Dad pulled me and looked at me again and again. I was puzzled. What could happen to me? Why are you here? It's good that you are okay. It's good that you are okay. We received a call from Eric's sister yesterday. She said that you made a big scene at their house. Dad said. Yes. Yes. Originally. You suddenly called and said you wanted to cancel the meeting between the 2 families. You wouldn't say anything. We were worried about you. After receiving the call yesterday, we hurriedly called you. We called more than 10 times but couldn't get through. We were so worried. Looking at my phone, there were more than 100 missed calls. Yesterday, I was afraid of being harassed by the Sun family. I put my phone on silent when I slept. Mom and Dad called more than 100 times, but couldn't contact me. I felt a pang of sadness. What did Mariana say? I poured a cup of warm water for each of my parents. Nothing. Nothing much. Mom and Dad didn't dare to look at me. Even if they didn't say it. I knew. Presumably. What Wang Ximaya said must not be pleasant. They have been honest and kind all their lives. In their old age, they still have to endure such grievances. I heard that Eric was injured? Dad asked. There are always bumps and conflicts in a couple's life. Be forgiving. Mom said. I told my parents the key points of what happened in the past 2 days. Finally. I said. I don't plan to be with Eric anymore. Mom and Dad were silent for a long time before they said. We support you. For such a family. Even if Eric is always on your side. There will be countless hardships in living together. Yes. Even if Eric cuts off ties with the Sun family for you. In the future. This will also be a thorn between you two. Dad agreed with your decision. But do the Sun family, especially Eric, know that you want to break up with him? Not yet. We will always be N and Un's backing. The next day, I went to the hospital to see Eric. He asked me. I called you countless times. You didn't answer. Mariana stood far away from me. Father-son and mother-son gritted their teeth in hatred on one side, but didn't dare to say a word. I came today. In front of your dad. Your mom. And your sister. I want to make things clear with you. Eric covered his ears with his hands. As if sensing something. I don't want to listen. I ignored him. I glanced at the Sun family. Everyone be a witness. As you wish. Today. Eric and I officially break up. It would have been better if it was like this earlier. Mariana rolled her eyes. Eric stared at her viciously. You'd better watch your mouth. I glared at her and smiled. And we are all adults. There is no need to go to someone's parents for every little thing. Mariana. You better take care of yourself and don't look for my parents. Eric became excited. I don't agree to break up. Mariana ignored her crazy younger brother. You and Derek have been together for so many years. Derek has spent a lot of money on you. Right? I knew this would happen. So what? So. It's okay to break up. But the accounts always have to be settled clearly. Right? I looked at father-son and mother-son. They didn't say anything. Obviously. They agreed with their daughter's statement. That's right. I took out a long list from my bag. This is a list of gifts exchanged between Eric and me in the past 2 years. Since we took turns paying for dates and meals. I won't count that. In total. Eric owes me 11,500 Texas yuan. In the 3 years we were together. I gave Eric a mobile phone, a pair of headphones, and a gaming laptop. On various small festivals. Eric and I exchanged gifts. The Sun family has always been restrictive on Eric financially. Eric has never had much money. In order to buy me an MCM bag. He once saved money and took multiple part-time jobs for a year. The Sun family has always been on guard against me. Worried that I would take advantage of Eric. Now that we are breaking up. They still want to make false accusations. It's really ridiculous. Mariana snatched the list and exclaimed that it was impossible. She kept calling Eric to check. Father-son and mother-son also kept chiming in. Eric shouted. It's all true. Did anyone listen to me? I don't agree to break up. Mother-son was shocked. In a relationship. It's about mutual affection. There is no reason to ask for money back after spending it. Mariana said seriously. That's right. I found it funny. It doesn't matter. I didn't plan to ask for it back either. If sister didn't mention it, I wouldn't have taken it out. Father-son and mother-son glared at Mariana viciously, blaming her for ruining things. I took one last look at Eric. This breakup is definite. You are a good person. But marriage is not just a matter between two people. Because of your family. I will never marry you in my life. Uncle and aunt. Instead of thinking about how to guard against me, it's better to manage your son. If he pesters me again, I will definitely call the police. I said to father-son and mother-son with a smile. Breaking off a 3-year relationship is not easy. But it's better to endure short-term pain than long-term pain. I constantly myself, in such a wonderful time. I can't get stuck in the big quagmire of the Sun family that is full of entanglements. Sure enough. Eric came to find me the next day. He kept knocking on my door. I called Mariana. Eric is at my door. He keeps knocking on my door. For half an hour. If you don't come, I'll call the police. After a while, I heard Mariana bringing father's son and mother's son running over breathlessly. There is a video doorbell at the door. I can clearly see that mother's son cried and beat Eric. Why do you have to be with her? Eric. Do you know how we came here? It's that bitch Wan Qi. She is watching you knock on the door in the room. She won't even see you. She still wants to call the police and arrest you. Why are you doing this to yourself? Mariana was heartbroken. Perhaps because they were in a hurry to come over. Father's son was only busy catching his breath and didn't speak. However, I can quite understand his look of hating iron for not becoming steel. I saw him slam his cane hard. Go home quickly. Don't make a fool of yourself here. Let the bitch watch the joke for nothing. Eric was finally dragged away by the Sun family. Mom and Dad leaned against the door and looked at me worriedly. There is no one blocking the door. I can go out and buy groceries now. Mom. I smiled. Mom and Dad visibly relaxed. In the early morning, Eric came and knocked on the door again. Mom came out in her clothes. Otherwise, see him once. I shook my head and decisively called the police. At 3 in the morning, I met the Sun family at the police station. As soon as Mariana saw me, she was about to pounce on me and hit me. You heartless bitch. You actually called the police to arrest Eric. The police stopped her. Please pay attention to your influence. This is a police station. Mariana stopped and stood still. Police uncle. You must decide for our family. Father son and mother son also trembled and acted, looking kind and honest. I sneered. This family really starts acting whenever they need to. Wherever there is a need. That's their stage. Eric kept looking at me. Just kept repeating one sentence to me. Giselle. I don't want to break up. I don't want to be separated from you. Calm down. The police slapped the table and looked at me. You speak. Our family doesn't agree with him dating me. I broke up with him. He comes to my door every day and pesters me. It has seriously affected my life. Comrade policeman. Is what she said right? I've never seen someone so shameless. She even dares to call the police and arrest people. We are right not to let them be together. Who dares to marry such a woman? Comrade policeman. Tell me. If it were you, would you dare to have her? Can you have her? She is so vicious. I am 78. She scolded me, pointing at my nose. I might as well die. Giselle. I don't agree to break up. I don't agree. They all started talking at once. The police slammed the record book on the table. Speak one by one. I don't want to break up. Giselle. Give me another chance. Eric opened his mouth like a robot whenever there was an opening. If she doesn't want to. You can't do this. Forced love won't be sweet. Your behavior of pestering her will only make her look down on you even more. And to be serious. Your behavior is illegal. Comrade policeman said seriously. Mariana was indignant. It must be that she seduced my younger brother first. Otherwise, why would my younger brother be so captivated by her and run to her all the time? In the middle of the night, when I took a nap, he was lured away. I glanced at her. Too lazy to talk nonsense with her. When my lawsuit for slander goes to court, I hope you can be responsible for what you said. Comrade policeman seriously educated Eric and Mariana. Finally, it was over when Eric promised not to harass me again. When leaving the police station, Eric suddenly called out to me. Giselle, why can you be so heartless? Without leaving any leeway? I hailed a taxi and went home to catch up on sleep. When getting in the car, I said to Eric. Because I don't owe you anything. Eric. Let's end it here. Otherwise, it won't look good for anyone. After saying all the good and bad things, you can never wake up someone who pretends to be asleep. Eric doesn't want to wake up. But sooner or later he will have to wake up. Eric really didn't come to my door again. However, he started to stand downstairs of my house from time to time. not approaching or disturbing, just standing quietly. When I went out for a run in the morning, I saw him sitting in a daze downstairs from my house from afar. Mom worriedly said, "In and on. Maybe you shouldn't go down. Let him stand there. He won't be able to stand for a few days." Mom, don't worry. I understand Eric. He is like a child. He is only enthusiastic for 3 minutes. After this period passes and he figures it out, he naturally won't come again. I pretended not to see him and ran past him. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. On the 6th day, Eric didn't show up. Then, he never showed up again. According to my college classmate, father-son and mother-son found many blind date partners for him. Eric accepted them all but rarely had any results. Because there have been so many things happening recently, I have no heart for work. So I simply resigned and prepared for the IELTS exam full-time at home. After studying hard for a month by burning the midnight oil, I got a score of 7 in the IELTS exam. I submitted an application for a master's degree at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. In June, I received an offer from a Hong Kong Polytechnic University. I always have to see the sky outside. There is never only one answer to life. Fortunately, I didn't marry Eric and didn't marry into the Sun family. Now it seems that it's not that God closed my door. It's that God opened my window. A year after enrollment, when I returned to the mainland during winter vacation, Ting Ting asked me to go shopping. Have you heard? As soon as Ting Ting saw me, she couldn't wait to gossip. What? The gossip about Eric. We haven't contacted for a long time. It's really exciting. You definitely can't imagine. I heard that Eric got married in a flash half a year after I left. His wife was carefully selected by his parents. I heard that the two families know each other well. Her name is Amelia. After being tricked by their whole family into getting pregnant, she got the marriage certificate. When getting off the wedding car during the wedding, she gritted her teeth and refused to get off. She insisted on 200 yuan as the money to get off the car. The Sun family took turns to persuade her, but the bride was very firm. She would never get off without the money. Eric's sister made a scene on the spot. I tell you, don't be shameless. It's a happy day. We have given you enough face. Making such a scene here. Who are you disgusting? The bridesmaid is the bride's cousin. She is 1.78 meters tall, and a professional coach. Her skills are very outstanding. The bridesmaid slapped her as soon as she came up. Who are you calling shameless? Who are you yelling at? Mariana was stunned by the slap. You dared to hit me? As she was saying this, Fabian also rushed out. The couple pounced on her and wanted to fight desperately. The bridesmaid hit left and right. 1 hit for each person. She threw Mariana over her shoulder on the left. Mariana fell like a dog eating shit. On the right, she pushed Fabian to the ground. Mother's son shouted, "Oh my God," and stepped forward. My life is so miserable. I have such unruly in-laws. This old bone of mine. I might as well die. Some people in the crowd watching the excitement were talking. Is mother-in-law is enough for the bride to have a hard time. On such a big day. She keeps saying die and die, and die. It's very unlucky. It's about the same. This bride is also very stubborn. The bridesmaid took a step forward. Mother's son was startled and took a step back. She lost her balance and fell down. The bridesmaid laughed. Everyone can see clearly. I didn't touch her at all. This old lady fell down by herself trying to blackmail people. The relatives on both sides fought in a mess. The excitement of that wedding was really worth the 200 yuan I spent. It was even better than a movie. Ting Ting was still not satisfied. What happened later? I don't know later. There were too many people watching the excitement. I couldn't squeeze in. The bride's family is really tough. They beat up the Eric family so badly that 2 ambulances were called. According to the aunt standing next to me, 1 ambulance had Eric's mother and sister. The other had his brother-in-law. The bride's family is good. Very loyal. They spared the old man's life. How mean of you. The two of them laughed into a ball. What about Eric? I don't know. Although it's his wedding, his presence seems not very strong. As expected. I heard that later the wedding didn't happen. After mother, son and Mariana were discharged from the hospital, the whole family of father-son took Eric to the bride's house to apologize. They were shut out 3 times. It was only on the 4th time that they were invited in. The old couple said all the good things and took out 500 Zara yuan as the bride's dowry. Only then did they bring the bride back home. Before leaving, Eric's mother-in-law said sarcastically, "You made such a mess of a good thing. If you had paid the money earlier, it would have been great." Father-son and mother-son were embarrassed and didn't dare to refute. They only dared to nod and agree. When they came back, they were so angry that they fell ill. The bride is not a good person either. Pregnant and very delicate. She mainly can't lift a shoulder or carry a hand. Poor father-son and mother-son. At their age, they still have to run around and serve her every day. In the middle of the night, she wants to eat grilled cold noodles. On the 15th day of the 8th month, she wants to eat big strawberries. In the 12th month, she wants to eat peaches. The old couple complained bitterly. Mariana went to seek justice for her parents. Before she could say a few words in a ranting tone, the bride called her cousin with one phone call. The cousin crushed 4 walnuts in front of Mariana. Then the 2 sisters looked at Mariana and smiled quietly. Mariana didn't dare to breathe loudly. She stared at Eric viciously. "Your wife bullies us like this. You don't even dare to say a word. Are you still a man?" Eric stared at Mariana gloomily. "Sister, isn't this the wife that you and mom and dad begged so hard for? You begged so hard for her. I just followed your arrangements. Why and how can you blame me?" Ting Ting finally said. "But to be honest, classmates all say that you are lucky and ran fast." I shrugged, not expressing an opinion. People who do too many bad things will always capsize in the gutter. It doesn't matter. No one can predict things in the world. The sun rises in the east and rain falls in the west. Evildoers will always be punished by even worse people. I think it's not that I am lucky, but that I am always kind but have a bottom line. I always put my own feelings first. I never bet my life on an invisible future.